Hi, Zizaran here with an update video after Delirium is launched. So especially I want to cover a little bit on the Volatile Dead, Necromancer, Spellslinger, and make a few things clear that wasn't clear in the guide. Also, sorry if I've been a little salty this league. It's been between moving and CPU issues, which GGG have said they're hopefully fixing. It's been a bit of a rough launch. So it's been pretty frustrating for me. We're so far 3 deaths in. The setup I'm running right now is 2 computers, so I've managed to make it look pretty good on stream, but I have 20 to 30 FPS. So hopefully it's been really rough to play, but we should be fixing that as well, hopefully. Other than that, I did a Necromancer Spellslinger on my first character. Went really well. It died to a twinned pier map, and it was pretty hard to move around with the lag, and the spikes caught me. That was also a lot of bad play on my part. Second one was a Metamorph. Just blasted me. And the third one died because I'm going to go ahead and blame this one on no hotkey. Obviously, it was not an ideal spot for me to stand still too close to Delirium. But obviously, if I had a hotkey, I could keep moving while closing the Delirium, and then I wouldn't stand in the explosion. But excuses aside, I do like the league. The builds have been very strong. But at least for me, I don't know how it is for you guys, but it's really, really hard for me to see the gray on gray and see what's going on. That's why it's pretty hard for me in the Deliriums. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. It's really hard to see what's happening. So if we look here at the character Zizaran Go Again, that was my most up-to-date Necromancer. It was doing an insane amount of damage. With nothing on, I had 10,000 average damage on the Volatile Dead. Obviously, that's not counting everything, but it's really, really strong. I was doing around tier 11 to 14 maps quite a bit, and even in those, and doing Conquerors with 2 or 3 watchstones on them was pretty easy at this point. I obviously didn't have the full setup online. The main thing I'm missing is the trigger gems for Bone Offering. Currently, since I don't have the trigger gems on Bone Offering, I was doing Chaos and taking Tempest Shield and Bone Offering just to help with the block. And with that online, I had 55% block and 20 spell block, which helped quite a lot. I felt very, very tanky, especially in Deliriums. I'm gonna guess the explosions I died to as a spell. So obviously I don't think I blocked anything there. But yeah. So I want to talk about a couple of things that have changed from the video. So at the moment I'm reserving a 6-thing Volatile Dead. What I'm using right now is a non-optimal setup. I would probably prefer no elemental focus and having hypothermia instead. That will probably make it that I don't need a Conqueror's efficiency. And that will make a cluster jewel that I'm about to talk about better as well. I've used Sovereignty, and that's so I could fit Wave of Conviction. I'm using Spellslinger, Wave of Conviction, Combustion, and Ice Bite. So that's how I'm getting Frenzy charges now as well. So I'd recommend looking at the Zizaran Go Again character and browsing my current setup. I will hopefully later in the league do an even more optimal one with more currency, and it's a pretty laggy setup to play. The Barrage setup, we moved away from Frenzy. As someone who has never really played much Poet Spent, I didn't realize and didn't know this, but chat let me know that Barrage seems to bypass some parts of the cooldown, so I'm not sure how this works with cooldown recovery and stuff. But you can see here that even though it's obviously more than 0.5 seconds, it's summoning 2 or 3 times Volatile Dead, and it's a lot slower than putting Barrage support on Frenzy. So I wanted to work hard to make sure that I got a Ice Bite set up somewhere to get Frenzy charges. It's not as consistent, so I would like another way to get Frenzy charges. Maybe Anointing Overcharged or something. But yeah, that was this seems to be a pretty good setup for now. So I'm using Barrage, Curse on Hit, Elemental Weakness, and Inspiration. And yeah, I'm enjoying that setup quite a lot. It was crazy damage boost. And even with just using the Frenzy setup I had before, I preferred Frenzy and GMP or LMP. Just I felt like the Barrage support was a little bit too much locked down in place, so I didn't like it. But yeah, other than that, my gear is pretty much just Life and Resist at this point on pretty much everything. I managed to find a worm sign, and the way I'm getting endurance charges for the rampage for that is the enduring composure from a small armor one. It would be better if you find one with adds 2 passive skills, because then you're not having to do 1 point with 15 armor and 2 in. To be fair, if they roll better, it's probably nice. But yeah, and then in my medium cluster jewel at the moment, I'm using Doriani's Lesson to get elemental damage leech. Prismatic Heart, this is not what I want. What I want is a node called Sadist. And when we don't have elemental focus, we're shocking, chilling, and igniting. Obviously, if you have elemental focus, you're not igniting. In that case, it would be 2 points for 60% elemental damage. So that would be very, very strong. Trying to think what else we've changed in the tree. Not much. You can take like agility here and precision here if you do need more dexterity. Obviously, you don't need to level things like Frenzy and Barrage. They can be kept at level 1 for a low mana cost. Main upgrade I was looking for, I would quite like a like life on block shield would be very, very nice. I was probably going to try to fit, maybe removing this eventually and getting more cluster jewels. Like some of the life ones as well is very nice. And you can get, above item level 75, you can get the large trees can have 2 jewels. So you could have, yeah, basically a free jewel. That's an item level 75 and above, so it's super strong. And yeah, I really enjoy the build so far. I'm getting Onslaught from a Searching Eye. And a lot of people have been asking about Spiritual Aid. I kind of forgot to explain this well enough, which ends up being very frustrating for me. But the reason we have minion damage and stuff is that Spiritual Aid basically turns, for any build, any minion damage into the same as just increased damage. And that's really good because obviously we're getting a lot of minion damage from the Ascendancy and stuff. So it is very, very strong. At the moment on my new character, I'm going to be doing an Archmage Trickster and hope that that's strong. So we're going to give it a hard push today and see how that goes. Want to farm a lot for cluster jewels and stuff like that. And another thing that's good to explain is the hypothermia. A lot of people are asking about that because how are we chilling? Well, that's the point of Corpse Pact. Enemies near your corpses you spawn are chilled and shocked. So we're getting a 15% shock and everything is chilled. So that's why hypothermia is so good for this and why Sadist is so good. And the inspiration as well, I want to explain that a little bit better. So a lot of people have been just putting inspiration in their main links. But you also need to get inspiration somewhere else, like either shield charge, so that whenever you shield charge, you get inspiration charges. Or what I did, which is put it in the barrage. And then whenever I'm barraging, I'm getting inspiration charges. Since the mana cost is so low, it's only 6. And you need to spend 730 mana with this one skill before you lose inspiration charges. It's basically always full. So it's a really crazy high damage support gem, and it's only 115% mana multiplier reservation. As far as enchants go, I would probably want the enchant that gives you less reduced mana reserved. I think I would probably try fitting a Herald of Ash in, or something like a pseudo link using like Essence of Horror, Essence of Insanity, to get a boost on something. But it's a very, very tight fit on gems. I definitely want to get Curse on Hit into a ring as well, so that I can not take up 2 slots just for Curse on Hit. Quick update as well, something that wasn't clear in the update video, and we put this part in, is why flat damage to attacks is good on Spellslinger, or on the Volatile Dead Spellslinger build. So if you bother to read the Spellslinger skill, it says here that supported skills have added spell damage up to equal to 50% of the damage of the equipped wand. And at like level 20, that ends up being like 94 or 97. So what ends up happening is this even adds like the flat physical of your wand. Or if it has something like 30 to 40 flat damage to attacks, that also becomes the same as basically flat added to spell damage. So that's why the best thing you can get on your wand would be as much like added to fire damage as you can, because the numbers there are higher. And that's why the skill isn't good for Essence Drain as well, because that's one of its main strengths. And again, to like give an example of like weapons that are good, you can see here like I have flat fire damage to fire attacks, the 37 to 68. That's like the best stat you want. Obviously you want a higher roll. This is just tier 4. Tier 1 goes like crazy high and will be like wow damage. Then I have and Deafening Essence of Anger. I usually don't recommend crafting with Deafening Essences. This league, it's pretty spicy because if you hit something like any other role, like even a tier 2 or tier 3, and an open flat, so that you could craft like fire damage spells, that's going to be an insane weapon. I'm also using cast speed with the chance to get an Arcane Surge, because I don't have enough slots to get Arcane Surge off my Flame Dash. I would love doing something like Multi-Mod and the Arcane Surge and the Blood Rage thing. Then I would get Blood Rage, which gives me Frenzy Charges and Arcane Surge, so I would just have those all the time. Blood Rage would be pretty annoying to play with, so I'd have to feel it out and see if I like it. For this one, I use the Fair Essence to craft, and then I get the minions deal 56% increased damage, and obviously that works because of Spiritual Aid. I can give another example here real quick of my first character. This was, I don't remember how long into League Start that survived. It survived for 13 hours. We got to level 86 on the first character. And I had a crazy good weapon. This is like pretty much exactly what you want. Obviously, I'd rather switch the fire and lightning around, because you want to make sure that the fire damage on the Wave of Conviction is more than the lightning. So if you have a crazy lightning damage one, you might be exposing them to lightning damage instead of fire. But this is a great wand. It was so much damage. Here the damage per use is 7,200, but obviously that's not counting hypothermia, so it's probably slightly higher than the other character I had. And here I managed to get a really nice spell damage shield. I would love +1 damage fire gems. The high spell damage is good as well. And I can show off the cluster jewel I worked with here. So this was the perfect one. The only thing that could have been better here is if it had 2 jewels. So I would want Sadist, Doriani's Lesson, and 2 jewels. And here I'm also using Enduring Composure. Also, we're trying to update the videos. There were a few things in, like for example, the Blade Vortex video had Elemental Focus in it by accident. Obviously, we don't have too much time from when we get the patch notes to make a guide, so there will be some things that could be better. But yeah, we try to update that as fast as we can. And if you have any questions, as always, drop by my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/Zizaran. Thanks for all the support this league start. I really appreciate it, even though it's been a bit of a rough league. And I hope everyone's having fun. And obviously, GDD just released a manifesto, and there's a lot of fixes on the way. So looking forward to that. And yeah, thanks for watching, and try to die less than I do.